Welcome back everyone, and welcome to another reaction video.
Hey! Come here! Come here! Give me a close-up! A close-up!
Where today we are looking at Ip Man 2. Now of course I have made videos on, I made two in fact, on Ip Man 1. Oh, and part of my wet hair, I was kind of in the rain earlier. Welcome to England. Now as it stands, what I thought of Ip Man 1 was that it was, well, thinking back on it, it's a good film. And it's evident why it became a tone setter for the 2000s. In terms of action, in terms of martial arts films. But for me personally, it wasn't my thing. So Ip Man 2. So this time Ip Man is in Hong Kong instead of Foshan, and he's trying to establish himself as a martial arts master there in his own right. So the scene we're going to be looking at today is the scene of where he's challenged by fellow martial artists to earn the place there. Now going right off the bat, where you see all these this table and all these chairs all stacked around and there's all this challenge stuff. Of course this doesn't happen in real life, at least to my knowledge, when you need to open a school in a new area. It doesn't really happen, but it's true in that there's always an animosity, I've found, when it comes to opening a school in a new area. Because when I started myself, just in my local area, there was a bit of tension with other existing martial arts schools in the area. I won't say who it was with or what have you, because of course that's unprofessional. But I will say there was some unneeded tension. I mean, let's be honest, we're all at the end of the day trying to do the same thing. And I get why the tension exists. It's because there's the thought process of, these are my students, you're going to try and take away my students. No, that's not what it is at all. People can learn different martial arts. We can all learn from each other as well. So, that kind of animosity, it's not needed. But in this case, I think, if you remember the context of the timing of when this takes place, this is probably also keeping the purity of the martial arts at this time, where there's a lot more cultural tension.
And the distinction would be...
Now let's talk about the actual fight scene itself. Master Luo. Master Lo. Lu? Lo? Starts with this master. Oops. And what it looks like is that he's doing 7-star praying mantis. It has that northern quality to it. So I'm suspecting it is praying mantis. Plus he's got those visual tics as well, which make him more bug-like. Oh, I find it funny that there was, when he finished the fight, he kept just sliding back to his chair. It looked like he had been a bug that was squashed. He was like, ugh. But of course that displays a touch of hubris, because he's like, oh, there were excuses. The floor was slippy, I couldn't... no, well, it just wasn't my day. The weather, oh, it's... the 5G... standard practice, really. I think his is the shortest fight. But you would think more the offensive sort of style. That would pair with Wing Chun quite well. Well, the problem was that he didn't focus enough on the stance work and keeping a firm rooting, because the area he's fighting in is so small. So that just led to his own downfall, because he was using a lot more aerial attacks. So it became easy prey for... easy prey for Ip Man, especially when he tried to do that high kick. And so it left Ip Man just easily able to sweep his other leg out from under him. It just became easy work. It was probably just a warm-up for him.
罗师傅，没事吧？
我这真的很滑。
But then when we get to the second fight scene, still sticking with this Master L, we'll call him that from now on. When it came to Master L, it looked as though at first he had the hubris, because he was like, oh, the floor is slippy, oh, I've got the wrong shoes on, oh, it's just... But then when he talks to the second master, who's about to go up, and he goes,
郑师傅，这桌子很滑的。
it's like a code for, by the way, stick to your form work. So, what I think that's also demonstrating is that this guy is a competent master, he does know what he's doing, but his hubris got in the way, and that's interesting. It's an interesting detail which just adds back some of that respect to this master who just handed himself an L. Now Master Zhang is a master of Bagua Zhang as it looks. And Bagua Zhang, that's an interesting choice for this context. Bagua Zhang is an evasive style based in defense, a style based in wearing your opponent out by letting them basically overtax themselves. More about sneaking in those strikes rather than using brute force and strength. I mean, I know he's a master at it, but this is the wrong context for Bagua Zhang. Sure, Bagua Zhang can work in close ranges, but that works in the context that you can then go onto those wider ranges, and this is not the sort of context where you have the wider ranges. It's close up or it's nothing. So he does better, he performs better because he keeps to firm footing, and they do earn each other's respect as a result, but it's a mismatch of styles. Because one is more based in taking energy or taking your momentum of your attacks and using it against you, whereas Bagua Zhang is all about letting you run out of your own energy. So, actually, when I say it like that, it's sort of the same thing, but one is more offensive while the other is more defensive. So really, they're only mismatched in that they're different in terms of their goals. In terms of the philosophy underlying both of them, they're quite similar. Which is actually an interesting detail. I'm just wondering, actually, if you paired Wing Chun and Bagua Zhang together, you probably have something quite interesting on your hands.
Write that down, write that down!
I think there isn't even an understanding that this is a ludicrous context for everyone to find themselves in. They probably wouldn't normally do this. I think what it is that Wing Chun at this time was a lesser known martial art, so they were like, oh, okay, who's this guy? Is this just a Mook dojo wasting our time? And last up, it's Sammo Hung. He has a name in the film, but it's just Sammo Hung. See, this is I think what it's probably also hitting is that Sammo Hung's character was probably the one to initiate this whole scenario. He was probably the one that was doing this. He was the one that wanted to really test Ip Man. Maybe he was the one that thought, okay, this guy's just a poser. This isn't actual martial arts. And so, or maybe he's... Oh no, because he's the one that later fights the boxer. So, with the context of the time period in mind, he was the one that wanted to maintain the cultural heritage of Chinese martial arts in Hong Kong, or in their area of Hong Kong. And so he was testing to make sure that Wing Chun was a viable substrate of their culture. Ah, I get it now. And everyone's like sitting up like, oh, here we go, we got something here. Okay, so Hung is using Tiger style. Is that it? I think that is Tiger style another Northern style? I would suspect it would be, because it is much more offensive, much more use of the kicks. And his character has already sussed out a good strategy. Already. Instead of maintaining your own stance, which is good, it's also necessary to break the stance of the opponent as well. need to try that kick, actually. Of where, it's sort of like a one-handed handstand into a kick. I need to try that at some point. That seems more like a capoeira sort of kick. I need to try that. Well, I've got two things I need to try now. It's clear watching this that the two of them are more equal. It's probably because it's Sammo Hung, but he's one of the rare characters in this franchise to land a hit on Ip Man. As I think, if I remember correctly, in the last fights, in the last film, none of the characters were actually able to land a strike on Ip Man. This is just how dudes earn respect with each other. They're proving themselves to each other, matching each other step for step. Friends for life for these two. In real life, they probably are best friends. I wouldn't even be surprised. Okay, the table breaking apart and they're both landing on it. It's a little bit unrealistic, but you get it. It's martial arts. It's a martial arts film. You accept it. So if I remember correctly, I think that some elements of this fight scene, or some of the elements of the lessons of these fight scenes, come back later when Ip Man is fighting the boxer. Just maybe in a 6-degree sort of way. The whole key strategy was to break the stance of the opponent. That was what Sammo Hung was doing the whole time. And then, one of the key strategies that Ip Man employs later in the film against the boxer is to go against the biceps. So to in a way inhibit the arms, a part of the stance, if you like, of a boxer. Does that make sense? Kind of makes sense, you know. But it also, on a larger level, the whole key to this fight scene is equal respect between these two masters, or these four masters if you like, but really it's against these two, because they're proving themselves to be, despite their differences, that they are equal with each other in terms of skill. And then ultimately they come together as allies, which then leads back to the core theme of this film, about how despite there being differences between countries and between people, we can still come together in face of common goals. Or in this case, if I remember correctly in this film, it was stereotypical racists. But that was Ip Man 2. What did you think of the film? Have you seen it? What did you think about it? And until next time, everyone, peace be with you.